Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Today, inshallah, we're going to continue our talking about the change in demand and supply and its effects on the market equilibrium. And as you know that we discussed three cases which was related to the magnitude of a change in demand and supply. The relative magnitudes of a change in demand and supply determines the change in the market equilibrium. So, suppose that the number of population in the Gaza Strip increased, at the same time, the cost production of chicken has increased, increasing the cost of a production of chicken. The question is, what are the consequences or the effects of these things on the market equilibrium? Number one, as you know that the population is one of the determinants of demand, so increasing the number of population leads to increasing in demand. So we have increasing in demand plus. When the cost of production of a chicken increase, this leads to a declining of supply or the ability to produce, so the final result would be a declining in supply. So supply would decline. So let's go to analyze this case. We have three cases or sub-cases. Number one, when the demand or the increasing in demand is larger than the decreasing in supply, or the magnitude of a change in demand is greater than the magnitude of a change in supply. So this is the first case, when the magnitude of a change in demand is larger than the magnitude of a change in supply. This is the origin point, D1, S1, and this is the origin equilibrium point, E1, price P1, Q1. The assumption is the magnitude of a change in demand or increasing in demand is larger than or greater than the declining in supply. So we have a rightward shifting of demand curve to D2. At the same time, we have a leftward shifting of supply curve in a smaller amount or with a smaller amount. So there is a leftward shifting of the supply curve to S2. So we have a new equilibrium point. The blue curves, when the second demand curve intersects the second supply curve, it's E2. In this case, the price is increased to B2 and the quantities increased to Q2. So the result or the outcome of the market equilibrium is increasing in the prices plus increasing the quantities. This is the first case. The second case, if the increasing in demand is less than the decreasing in supply. So this is D1, S1, E1, price P1, Q1. The assumption is there is an increasing in demand and decreasing in supply, but the magnitude of increasing in demand is less or smaller than the magnitude of decreasing in supply. So we have, or there is a rightward shifting of demand with a small amount to D2, and we have a decreasing in supply. So there is a leftward shifting of supply curve with a larger amount. So this is S2, a leftward shifting of supply curve. The new equilibrium point occurs when S2 intersects demand 2. So it's E2. In this case, the prices would increase and the quantity decline. So the result or the outcome of the equilibrium is increasing in the prices and decreasing the quantities, plus decreasing the quantities. The last case, when demand increased, supply increased, and they are equal. So the last case, or the third case, when there is the increasing in demand equals the decreasing in supply, or the magnitude of a change in demand equals the magnitudes of a change in supply. So this is the origin point, D1, S1, E1, P1, Q1. The assumption is there is an increasing in demand, and the magnitude of a change in demand equals the magnitude of the reduction in supply. So there is a rightward shifting of demand curve from D1 to D2 equals the shifting or the decreasing in supply. So we have a decreasing in supply equals increasing in demand. So we have a new equilibrium point, which is E2. In this case, the prices would increase from P1 to P2, and the quantities are still constant. The quantities are constant, Q2. So the final result would be increasing the prices plus no change in Q. So as you see, if demand increase and supply decline, in all cases the prices increase. In the first case the price increased, the second case the price increased, and the last case the price increased. But the quantities are, or the change in the quantity is, in the first case the quantity has declined, the second one increased, the second one declined, in the last case there is no change. So the change in the quantity is ambiguous. It's called ambiguous, means it's unknown. It's, yes, ambiguous, غامض معناتها. Okay? So as you see, if demand increased, supply declined, in all cases the prices would increase and the quantity is ambiguous. Right? Okay, let's go to another case. If the number of population declines and the cost of production increased, there is a declining in the number of population and declining or increasing the cost of production. In the first case, when the number of population decline, the demand would decline. So there is a declining in demand plus declining in supply. And also we have three cases. The case number one, if the magnitude of a change in demand or declining in demand is larger than the magnitudes of a change in supply. So, the first case, if the magnitude of a change or declining in demand is larger than or greater than the magnitude of declining in supply. So, in the first case, this is demand 1, supply 1, E1, P1, Q1. The assumption is there is a declining or decreasing in demand. So there is a leftward shifting of demand curve with a larger amount than the decreasing in supply. So there is a leftward shifting of demand curve to D2. And there is a declining in supply with a smaller amount. So yes, so there is a leftward shifting of supply curve. This is S2. The new equilibrium point is E2. In this case, the price would decline and the quantity has declined as well. So if the magnitude of reduction or decreasing in demand is larger than the decreasing or the magnitude of decreasing in supply, the prices would decline and the quantity would decline as well. So the final result would be a decreasing in the prices plus decreasing in the quantities. The case number 2, or the second case, when demand decline or the declining in demand or decreasing in demand is smaller than the decreasing in supply. This is the demand curve number 1, supply curve 1, E1, P1, Q1. There is a reduction in demand with a smaller than the reduction in supply. So there is a leftward shifting of demand curve with a smaller than the reduction in supply. So also that we have a leftward shifting of supply curve to S2. The new equilibrium point is E2. So the result would be increasing the prices and decline in the quantities, increasing the prices and reduction in the quantity purchased. So the result would be increasing prices plus decreasing the quantities. Right? For the last case, the magnitudes or the magnitudes of a change in demand or reduction in demand equals the magnitudes of a change or reduction in supply. The last case, when the reduction in demand equals the reduction in supply. In this case, this is D1, S1, E1, P1, Q1. When the reduction in demand equals the reduction in supply. So there is a leftward shifting of demand curve equals the reduction in supply S2 D2. As you see, the price is constant P1 P2, and we have a declining NQ A2. So a quantity has declined, price has not changed, no change or constant. So let's come back to the final result or the final conclusion. If demand declined and supply declined, in all cases the quantity demanded has declined or decreased, and the price is ambiguous because in the first case it has declined, increased, and no change or constant. Right? Let's go to the last case, and then we go to the price elasticity of demand. The last case, when the number of population declined and the cost of production of a chicken declined. So the assumption is there is a declining in the number of population and declining in the cost of production. Demand would decline and this supply would increase. So in the first case, when the number of population declined, demand would decline. Plus, when the cost of production declined, the ability for producers would increase, so the supply would increase. And we have three cases. Number one, if demand or the declining in demand is larger than increasing in supply, or the magnitude of a change in demand and declining in demand is larger than the magnitudes of a change in supply. So in the first case, this is D1, S1, and this is E1, P1, E1, a Q1. The assumption is there is a reduction in demand, and the reduction in demand is larger than the increasing in supply. So there is a declining in demand, so there is a leftward shifting of demand curve to D2. At the same time, there is an increasing in supply, so there is a leftward or rightward shifting of supply curve to S2. In this case, the new equilibrium point is E2, P2, Q2. There is a reduction in prices and reduction or declining in the quantities. So the final result would be declining in the prices plus declining in quantities. This is the first case. The second case, when the reduction in demand is less than or lower than the increasing in supply. D1, S1, E1, P1, Q1. The reduction in demand is smaller than the increasing in supply. D2 is smaller than the increasing in supply. So there is a increasing in supply by this amount, S2. The new equilibrium point is E2, P2, Q2. So what is the result? Yes.
The price would decrease.
Yes.
And quantity would
No, the price would increase. Ah, sorry. Yes. Yes, the price would decline, and the quantity demanded would increase. So the result would be a declining the prices plus increasing the quantities. In the last case, when the reduction in demand equals the increasing in supply. So in this case, F, the reduction in demand or declining in demand equals the increasing in supply. This is D1, S1, E1, P1, Q1. If the reduction in demand equals increasing in supply, D1 equals the yes, a rightward shifting, yes, to S2. There is a declining in demand or a leftward shifting of demand curve and rightward shifting of supply curve. The new equilibrium point is E2. In this case, the price would decline and the quantity is constant. Yes. So, F, or the final conclusion, or in this case, the prices decline plus quantity is constant or no change. So if demand declined and supply increased, the quantity or the prices in all cases would decline. In the first case, the price declined, and the quantity is ambiguous because in the first case it has declined, increased, and constant, right? Okay. Let's go to another topic, which is the elasticity. Elasticity means المرونة. Before starting this point, I have a question. Is this cable elastic or inelastic? Yes. It's elastic, yes, because there is a large response to the pressure, right? What about this? It's inelastic, right? Okay. So let's go to our topic. So, the elasticity in general is the ratio of the percentage change in one variable to the percentage change in another variable, right? Okay. So it could be used not only in economics, in our daily life. As you see, this cable is elastic. This is not elastic or inelastic, but we are going to focus on the elasticity in economics. We have many or different types of elasticities. Number one as the price elasticity of demand. The price elasticity of demand. If the price increased, the quantity demanded would what? Yes. So, if the price increased, the quantity demanded would decline in general. But the question is, how much does the change or the decline in the quantity demanded if the price increased? Right? So, elasticity or the price elasticity of demand is the percentage change or the ratio of percentage change in the quantity demanded as a result of the percentage change in the prices. Right? So, E, the abbreviation of the price elasticity of demand is ED. مرونة الطلب السعرية. ED equals delta Q D percent over delta prices percent. So the price elasticity of demand is the percentage or the ratio of the percentage change in the quantity demanded to the percentage change in the prices. Suppose that the price is increased by 10%. Then the quantity demanded by 5%. In this case, the price elasticity of demand equals delta Q D percent over delta P percent equals the quantity demanded declined by 5% minus 5% over 10% positive. So it would be minus 0.5. Yes, the price elasticity of demand is always negative. Why? Because it illustrates the negative relationship between the prices and the quantity demanded. When the price increased, the quantity demanded declined. In this case, if the price elasticity of demand is below or less than 1, or the absolute value of elasticity demand is less than 1, it's called inelastic. Inelastic. Okay, if the price, another example, if the price increased by 10%, then the quantity demanded declined by 25%. ED equals delta QD percent over delta P, so it equals minus 25% over positive 10% equals minus 2.5. The absolute value of a price elasticity of demand is larger than 1, so it would be elastic. In this case, the absolute value of elasticity, the price elasticity of demand is smaller than 1, so it would be inelastic. A third case. If the price increased, by 10%, the quantity demanded declined by 10%. In this case, the change or the percentage change in the quantity demanded equals the percentage change in the prices. So AD equals minus 10% over positive 10%, it's equals to minus 1. So the absolute value of the price elasticity of demand equals 1. So it's called a unitary elastic. If the price increased by 10% and there is no change in the quantity demanded, no change, and QD or delta QD percent equals 0. So AD equals 0 over positive 10% equals to 0. It's called perfectly inelastic. Thank you. Perfectly inelastic. The last case, if the price if there is no change in the prices, then the quantity demanded declined by 3%. So ED equals delta Q, the percent over delta P, percent equals minus 3 over 0. It would be infinity. Infinity means ما لا نهاية. So it's called perfectly elastic. Perfectly elastic demand. So let's go to illustrate the idea of elasticity by using diagrams. To explain the idea of the price elasticity of demand, let's draw 5 graphs or diagrams. The first diagram, this is D, P, QD, P, QD, P, QD, P, QD, the last one, P, QD. D, 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 D. As you see in the first diagram, the demand curve is close to a vertical line. So suppose this is a point A, point B, P1, P2, QD1, QD2. When the price increased from P1 to P2, the quantity demanded has declined by a smaller amount, right? So suppose that the price is increased by 10% and the quantities declined by 3%. So let's calculate the price elasticity of demand. ED equals delta Q, the percent over delta P, percent. The reduction in quantity demanded is smaller than the increasing the prices. So minus the 3% over 10% positive. Minus 0.33. So in the first case, the absolute value of the price elasticity of demand is less than 1. And the price elasticity, so it would be inelastic demand. Inelastic demand. For example, the demand for the telecommunication services in Palestine. The telecommunication services and Palestine. The demand for the telecommunication services in Palestine has, yes, like Jawal, like the Paltel, there is a small or a few number of substitute or alternatives. So if there is a few number of substitute goods or a few number of competitors, in this case it would be inelastic. The demand would be inelastic, right? Okay. In the second case, A, B, P1, P2, QD1, QD2. As you see that the percentage change in the prices is less than the percentage change in the quantity demanded, so it would be elastic because ED equals, so suppose that we are increasing the prices by 10% and then we have a reduction in the quantity demanded by 25%, suppose. So ED equals delta Q, the percent over delta P, percent, equals minus 25% over positive 10% equals minus 2.5. The absolute value is larger than 1. So when we calculate the price elasticity demand, we have to ignore the sign. We have to neglect the sign. So we are dealing with the absolute value of the price elasticity of demand. So the absolute value of the price elasticity demand is larger than 1. So it would be elastic. Elastic. Yes. Like the demand for Pepsi. If the good has many alternatives or substitutes, in this case the demand would be elastic or more elastic, like the demand for Pepsi or the demand for banana. Or banana. Pepsi has many alternatives like orange, 7-Up, and so on. And it's not, yes. Let's go to the third case. Point A, B, P1, P2, QD1, QD2. Increasing the prices, declining in the quantity demanded. As you see, if the price is increased by 10%, the quantity demanded would decline by the same amount, or the same percentage. Reduction by 10%. So ED equals delta QD percent over delta P percent equals positive minus 10% over positive 10% equals minus 1. So the absolute value of a price elasticity of demand equals 1. It's called a unitary elastic. Right? Okay. The fourth case. When the demand curve is a vertical line, when the demand curve is a vertical line, A, B, P1, P2, QD1, QD2. In this case, when the price increased by 10%, no change in the quantity demanded or the quantity demanded is constant. So, the delta QD in this case is 0. So, AD equals 0 over 10% equals to 0. So, the demand curve or the price elasticity demand is perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic means the good is very important for the consumer, it's very essential for the consumer or necessary for the consumer, and he can't give up it, like the demand for insulin for me. As you know, I'm a diabetic patient and I take insulin every day and I can't give up insulin. So even if the price of insulin increased by 1,000%, I can't give up it. So, like the demand for insulin for the diabetic patients, right? So, and increasing the prices by 100,000 or 1,000%, in this case, there is no change in the quantity demanded, right? Yes, the good is very important for the consumer. I can't give up it, and there is no alternative. Yes, there is no alternative for such good. Right? Okay, the last case. A, B, QD1, QD2, P1, P2. There is no change in the prices, but the quantity demanded decline. So, AD equals delta QD over delta P percent equals 0 minus 10%. Equals infinity. Yes. The demand in this case is infinity. Yes, perfectly elastic. Elastic. Maybe, yes, we have many alternatives for the good. The good is not necessary for the consumer, maybe. Yes. And it's easy to give up it. Right? Okay. Let's go. There are exercises related to the price elasticity of demand. if the price of a chicken, if the price of a chicken increased from 7 to 9 shekels per kilogram. So the family decided to decrease the quantity demanded from 10 kilograms to 5 kilograms per week or weekly. Calculate the price elasticity of demand using the formula, the percentage formula. Calculate the price elasticity of demand by using the percentage formula. ED equals delta QD percentage over delta P percentage, right? We have to calculate the percentage change in the quantity demanded and then the percentage change in the prices, and then we can calculate the price elasticity of demand. So we have delta QD percentage equals QD2 minus QD1 over QD1 times 100%. QD2 minus QD1 over QD1 times 100%. And this example, price 1 equals 7, price 2 equals 9, QD1 equals 10, and the QD2 equals 5. Right? So let's calculate the percentage change in the quantity demanded. Delta QD equals QD2 minus QD1 over QD1 times 100. QD2, 5, yes. 5 minus 10 over 10, yes. Times 100 equals 5 minus 10 minus 5 over 10 times 100. So, sorry? Yes. So delta QD equals minus 50%. This is the delta QD percent. There is a reduction in the quantity demanded by 50%, right? From 10 to 5. Now let's calculate the change or the percentage change in the prices. The same idea. So delta P percentage equals P2 minus P1 over P1 times 100%. P2, 9 minus 7 over 7 times 100. So delta P percentage equals 2 over 7 times 100%. 200% over 7. قديش بيطلع هذا؟ 22.22. Okay, percentage. So the price elasticity of demand equals equals delta QD percentage over delta P percentage equals delta QD percentage equals minus 50 percentage over 20 positive 22 percentage. Sorry? 28. Ah, okay, yes. 0.5. 0.5 28.5 مش مشكلة. المهم الايديا. So it equals 1 point قديش ولا 2 point. اعمل له calculations على السريع. 1 minus 1.9. So the demand, the absolute value of the price elasticity of demand is larger than 1. The absolute value of price elasticity demand is larger than 1, so it would be elastic. Right? تمام؟ طيب. Let's go to another exercise. The Palestinian government in Gaza, if the Palestinian government in Gaza decided or wants to reduce the consumption of electricity, to reduce the consumption of electricity from or by 5%, and the price elasticity of demand for the electricity equals -4 or -2. Then the government must increase the prices by how much? The government must increase the prices of electricity by how much? I will do it. So as you see, the Palestinian government decided to reduce the consumption of electricity by 5%. The consumption of electricity means the quantity purchased or the quantity demanded of electricity. So the target is decreasing the quantity demanded by 5%. So there is a negative 5%. ED equals -2. So we want to know how much does the increasing prices. ED equals delta QD percent over delta P percent. Right? -2 equals -5% over delta P percent. Right? So minus 2 times delta P percentage equals minus 5%. So delta P percent equals minus 5% over minus 2. So it would be positive 2.5%. So if the government wants to reduce the consumption of electricity by 5%, I advise them to increase the prices by 2.5%. Right? Okay. If prices of a chicken, okay. We have another formula to calculate the price elasticity of demand. We have another formula to calculate the price elasticity of demand, which is ED equals delta Q over delta P times P1 over Q1, QD1. So, suppose that the prices of a chicken increased. If the prices of a chicken increased from 5 to 7, in New Israeli shekel, then the quantity demanded declined from 10 kilogram to 8 kilogram. Calculate the price elasticity of demand using the following formula. Calculate the price elasticity of demand using this formula. As you see, when the price 1 is P1 equals 5, P2 equals 7, QD1 equals 10, QD2 equals how much? 8. To use this formula, ED equals delta QD means QD2 minus QD1, or let's write the initial, the origin formula, delta QD over delta P times P1 over QD1, or ED equals delta QD means QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times P1 over QD1. So ED equals QD2 8 minus 10 over P2 minus P1 7 minus 5 times P1 5 over QD1 10. ED equals minus 2 over 2 times 5 over 5, 10. Minus 10 over 10 over 20 equals 0.5. It would be inelastic, right? So the demand for chicken in this case, the absolute value of price elasticity demand is less than 1, so it would be inelastic. Right? Okay. Suppose that we have the following information about the Pepsi market. If the prices of Pepsi increased or if the price elasticity demand for Pepsi equals -3 and the quantity demanded 1 equals 7, QD2 equals 10, and the price 1 equals 2, price 2 is missing, unknown. Calculate the change in the prices and the price 2. I will do it. Okay. خليني بشتغل معكم. So ED equals delta Q D over delta P times P1 over Q1 or QD1, or ED equals QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times P1 over QD1. Right? So, direct substitution, direct compensation. ED equals -3. -3 equals QD2, 10, -7 over P2 minus P1. P2 is missing or unknown. Minus P12 times P1, 2 over QD1, 7. Right? Okay. So -3 equals 10 minus 7, 3 over P2 minus 2 times 2 over 7. -3 equals 3 times 2, 6 over 7 times P2 minus 2. طرفين في وسطين. So, or we can do another process. -3 equals 6 over 7P2 minus 14. So, طرفين في وسطين. So in this case, 6 equals -3 times 7P2 minus 14. So 6 equals 3 times 7P2 minus 21P2 minus plus -3, 42. So minus or 6 minus 24 or 42 equals minus 21P2. So قديش هذا الفرق ما بينهم؟ minus 36 equals minus 21P2. So P2 equals minus 36 over 21. 1.7. So the price 2 equals 1.7. This means that if or when the company declined the prices from 2 to 1.7, the quantity demanded increased from 7 to 10. Right? Okay. If the price of gasoline, another exercise or example. If the price of gasoline, price of gasoline increased from 2 to 3 shekels per liter, then the quantity demanded, or then if the price elasticity of demand equals -1, then the quantity demanded has declined from 50 liters to how much? So as you see, yes.
Why when we are using the midpoint
formula
in previous question, I don't have the same result in Fergus or in number.
And the result. Yes. I'm coming to the point, the midpoint formula, but before that, we are going to use the current formula, and then we are going to develop it to use the midpoint formula, and I will answer your question once we reach this point. Okay? Okay. So, if the price of gasoline increased from 2 to 3 shekels, so P1 equals 2, P2 equals 3, the price elasticity of demand equals -1, so the demand is a unitary elastic. Then the quantity demanded declined from 50 to how much we don't know. So QD1 equals 50, QD2 is unknown. So the price elasticity of demand equals QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times P1 over QD1. ED minus 1 equals QD2 is unknown minus QD1 50 over P1 minus P2 3 minus 2 times P1 over QD2 over 50. The same idea for the previous one. So -1 equals QD2 minus 50 times 2 over 3 minus 2, 1. 1 times 50. 1 times 50. So -1 equals 2 QD2 minus 2 times 50, 100 over 50. طرفين فوسطين. So -1 times 50 equals 2QD2 minus 100. So minus 50 equals 2QD2 minus 100. So ترحيل. So minus 50 plus 100 equals 2QD2. 50 equals 2QD2, then QD2 equals 50 over 2 equals 25. So, yes.
Based on the elasticity of demand equals minus 1.
Yes.
Unitary elasticity. Then quantity, the percentage change in quantity.
Excellent, excellent, yes. In this case, the percentage change in the prices equal the percentage change in the quantity demanded. So it's easily, yes, it's easily to calculate it بعيدا عن القصة هذه. So it's easy to calculate it by the direct formula, the percentage formula, right? طيب. Let's go to another exercise. If we have the following information about the chickens market, or the, yes, chickens market. Point, prices, quant demanded. Point, prices, QD, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Number 1, draw the demand curve. Draw the demand curve. Draw the demand curve. Number 2, calculate the price elasticity demand between A, B, B, C, or from A to B, then B to C, then C to D, and so on. Right? Okay, so in the first case, we are going to derive the demand, or to draw the demand curve. Prices 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Quantity demand, price QD. Quant demanded 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. The first point, at point A, the price is 10 and the quant demanded is 40. A, 10 and 40. This is point A. Point B, 9 and 50. C, 8 and 60. 7 and 70. D, 6 and 80. 5, 90, and the last point 104. This is the demand curve, E, F, G. This is the demand curve. Number one, calculate the price elasticity demand from point A to point B. Calculate the price elasticity of demand from point A to point B. From point A to B, at this point, from A to B, this price would be P1, P2, Q1, Q2, right? So the price elasticity of demand, ED, equals QD2 minus QD1 over P2 minus P1 times P1 over Q1 or QD1. So ED equals QD2 50 minus 40 over P2 minus P1 9 minus 10 times P1 10 over Q1 40. So ED equals 10 over minus 1 times 10 over 40 equals 100 over minus 40 equals 2 ونص. لحظة شوي. Yes, minus 2.5. So it would be elastic. The absolute value of the price elasticity demand is larger than when it would be elastic. So, and then let's go to calculate the price elasticity demand between B to C. From B to C. B to C, in this case, at P, it would be price 1, P2, Q1, Q2. The same logic or the same idea. So ED from B to C, elasticity demand from point B to C, ED equals 60 minus 50 over 8 minus 9 times P1 9 over 50. Yes, equals ناخذ الإجابة بس قديش طلعت؟ minus 1.7. It's elastic. The absolute value is larger than 1, but as you see, it's smaller than the previous one. كنا بتنزلوا لتحت هيك, the demand would be less elastic or inelastic. Yes. المرة الجاية إن شاء الله بنكمل.